Hey everybody, and welcome to Killer Cans Gaming. So today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new model editor for Transport Fever 2. Now, Transport Fever 1 modders will probably recognise this. It's very similar to the model viewer that we used to have, but there are a lot of very key differences which we'll be going over today. I'm going to be trying to show off as much of this as I can. And I think the end goal for the stream is to port my Class 86 mod to Transport Fever 2. Again, I'm going to try and cover this as best as I can. I haven't scripted anything here, so I'm going to be trying to cover it as I go along. Obviously, planning a live stream beforehand is far too professional for the likes of me, so we're just going to wing it, see how it goes. So let's start off by introducing the model editor. So this is my Class 47, which is already on the workshop. And I thought this would be a nice thing to open with. As you can see, you've got the same old model viewer, but we've got some new buttons over here which do lots and lots of nice new things. As well as just seeing your model and how it looks in the game, you can also now, there's a list of all the meshes, so you've got your ID numbers here, which come in handy for numerous things. But you can also change the metadata, so you've got your availability there, you can edit that. Things like cost, descriptions, got your emission settings there, which is new for Transport Fever 2. So yeah, all the things are right here, and you can just edit all of them, and it can write it to the MDL file for you, which is really handy. But the thing that I'm really loving about the model editor is this button here, the materials tab. So there's an actual materials editor now, where you can adjust all the settings, change pretty much everything, and it will update it in real time on the model, and again you can write this to your material files. I love the fact that they've added this because I'm not particularly good at setting up my materials manually. But yeah, all the settings are right here, and if, for example, you wanted to change one of your materials to a different type, you've got your list of different types there. You can literally pick one of these, whichever one you want, and all the relevant settings for it. If I pick one that doesn't crash it, that one did. Yeah, unfortunately the model viewer isn't absolutely perfect. There are still a lot of things that can make it a bit unstable and crash every so often, but the window here I find is a lot better than the previous model viewer. It will actually tell you why it's crashed. So that's a handy thing to have. Let's just reopen the 47 again. So yeah, what I was trying to show there before it crashed is that if you pick a different material type, it will automatically come up with the various different settings and things down here that that material type needs. The one I picked at random obviously wasn't a good one. But yeah, you get the gist of it. So there is the material editor, very handy part of the tool. Very good indeed. And something else I'd like to show is that if you go into the options now, you've got your different environment settings here as well. So there's the temperate one, which seems to be the default. If you actually click on the default one, it looks a lot like Transport Fever 1's model viewer. But you can also see it in the different environment types. So you've got the desert environment for USA maps, for example. There's I think it's the temperate one for the default European maps. Although that might be the Asian maps now, I think. I don't know. Mediterranean looks very similar to the temperate, gotta say. And then you've got your tropical one, which again looks different. When I'm setting up my mods, I like to leave it on the vehicles environment. The vehicles environment does sort of have the light shining in from the side rather than just the front, because pretty much all the other environments seem to have the light shining directly on front. But I like to see what's going on the side of my models as well as on the front, so I like to use this setting. Where are we going? The model viewer does indeed have an import function, but before we get into that, something I should probably mention is that when you first open Model Editor, you need to make some changes to this file here. This is the Model Editor settings lure, and you'll find it in the app data roaming folder. You need to manually set up which folders the model editor needs to look for. So you've got your FBX import path. This is the folder where it will import FBX files from, and you need to have that there because you can't really navigate to any other folders. You've got your base folder there, but I'm not entirely sure where that one is. FBX folder right there, and that's all you get to choose from. So yeah, make sure you set up an FBX import folder. Any FBX that you want to import has to be in that folder. You've got your Transport Fever 2 install path there, and this one is the user data path. You want to set this up to the local folder, and from there it will find the staging area. So this is very, very important because any mods that you want to work on have to be in the staging area, otherwise you won't find it. So let's just show the folder with the staging area. There it is. As you can see, those are the mods that I've got at the moment in my staging area, and that's all it's finding up here. So if the mod folder isn't in the staging area, the model editor won't find it. So this is a very big difference from the Transport Fever 1 model viewer. From Transport Fever 1, you could navigate into your mods folder, you could navigate anywhere really and find the one that you're working on. But for the new model editor, you've got to work from the staging area. There's no other choice. So yeah, that's a new one that I'm kind of getting used to. It has to be in the staging area or it won't open it. If we just whack that one on. Now when you're importing something, I want to talk about this fairly quickly because I still haven't really got the hang of importing stuff. When you're importing, it is an FBX file. You want to export your FBX file as ASCII, not binary. Otherwise, Model Editor won't read it at all. So it has to be ASCII. That's something that you've got to note and be aware of. Also, you need to set up your scene so that you are working in meters. The unit setup has to be in meters. If you use any other unit setup, it will do some really bizarre scaling stuff when you try to import something. This particular model was indeed set up in meters, so it hasn't done any scaling. But a lot of the times when I've tried to import something that was using like a default unit setup or any other kind, it will do some really, really bizarre scaling right here. And this is something that I've been struggling to get to grips with over the last few days. I use 3D Studio Max to make my models with. I find that using the default measurement units, it comes out just the right size for Transport Fever. It always has, so I've never had to use anything other than default units. However, if I try to import an FBX that has been exported from 3D Studio Max in default units, this scales it to something like 0.02% of its actual size, so it comes out absolutely tiny. It took me a while to figure out that it was doing that, actually, because at first I'd be trying to import something and I wouldn't see anything appearing in Model Editor at all. It would look like it hasn't done anything, but then if you zoom all the way in, there's like a tiny little speck down here, and that was the model that it imported. Because like I said, it was from the default units in Max, and it scaled it to something like 0.02% or something crazy like that. But yeah, if your units are set up in meters, then it seems to import it without scaling it. This is also a bit of a problem for me because when I try to convert any of the models that I've already made to meters and then import it into Model Editor, it comes out absolutely huge. Even though nothing was changed in the scaling here, it comes out absolutely enormous. So yeah, I think I still need to sort of tweak it, play around with it, and see if I can find an ideal setup for it to import as it should do. But I can't seem to get it spot on at the moment. So importer doesn't seem to be absolutely perfect. However, that doesn't really matter because we can still use the Transport Fever 1 model converters, and it will come out just fine using that. So yeah, the import function is there. It can be a bit problematic, but we can still use the old methods, so that's not too much of a problem. The one thing that I have been using the import function for recently...
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Minkenstein Live, thank you for the host. 37 viewers, wow. Hey, Azzacraft. You haven't really missed much. I've been more or less introducing the model editor.
I don't mean to alarm anybody, but I think we're being followed.
Lulu DS, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, I'm going to try not to repeat everything that I've already covered. This video is literally going to go up onto YouTube after I finish streaming. So yeah, if you've missed anything before you joined, then don't worry, you can watch the video again later. So yeah, where was I? The reason why I've been using the import function recently is the animation files, and I'll probably come to that one a bit later on. With all the problems that I've been having with scaling and positioning when I try to import something, thankfully it doesn't seem to mess around with the animations much. So if I import something that has an animation on it, then we can literally just import that, hit the save button, and it will generate an ANI file, which you can then put onto a good mesh that you've got imported in the right place already. So yeah, I'll show you how that's done later on. And that's pretty much the only reason why I'm using import at the moment, is literally just to grab the animations, because it's quite a pain trying to set up animations on your own, because they are using transf, which is a really, really terrible way of handling animations. But I don't know, the Transport Fever developers seem obsessed with it. They use it on everything, and yeah. I mean, I can understand that it has some advantages, I suppose, but I think it's a terrible way of using it. I think, yeah, that's just my opinion, though. Anyway, let's get started on porting a mod. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Transport Fever 1 mods folder. My Transport Fever 1 mods folder. I'm going to find my class 86. I'm going to copy the entire folder, and I'm going to place that into the staging area for Transport Fever 2. So the staging area is obviously in user data, user ID number. 1066780 is Transport Fever 2's app ID. So that's a new number for us to memorize. If I remember rightly, Transport Fever 1 was something like 446800. In fact, I think it was it? Transport Fever 1, 446800, indeed it was. So yeah, a new number for us to memorize, 1066780. That's Transport Fever 2's ID number. And then you've got local staging area, and this is where we put the class 86. Now, since we've pasted that folder in there, we should now see it in the list here. Well, I say we should, and I probably might need a quick restart. So we just open up modeleditor.bat from Transport Fever 2's install directory, and there's our 86. Now then, what we could do is go straight into the vehicle train folder and start opening these guys up, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that straight away because, like I said, we have literally just copied and pasted this straight from Transport Fever 1's mod directory. We haven't made any of the modifications that we need to do to these files, so if we try and open any of these right now, it will crash or not work at all. In fact, in this particular case, it hasn't found it hasn't found the materials assigned in the .mdl, which is why it hasn't worked on this occasion. So like I said before in my previous modding live stream, the big differences are in the MDL and the MTL. Now, one of the big differences in the MDL file is that materials are now assigned to a mesh directly in the MDL file. Here's the stock NoHab from Transport Fever 2, and as you can see, the material is applied to the mesh here rather than in the .mesh file itself. And Transport Fever 2 is specifically looking for this key for each mesh listed in the LOD list, and because it hasn't found it, because it wasn't a thing in Transport Fever 1, it's not opening our Class 86 yet. So what we need to do is put Model Editor to one side and go back to manual editing. Yes, don't we all love that? So manual editing, let's go to our Class 86. I can feel my voice going already. Oh dear. Have a quick drink. Right, there we go. Okay, so we want to go to our model file and open up our Class 86. Just making sure that's the one that's in the staging area and not the Transport Fever 1 folder. Because I've already done that already. Accidentally broken a couple of my own Transport Fever 1 mods because I thought I was editing them for Transport Fever 2. So we want to open that one up. And as you can see, this mod is still in the old style. Stay with me, voice, come on. Dearie me. My own voice trying to abandon me right in the middle of the stream. That's not good. Right, okay. Still with me, voice? Okay, let's try this again, shall we? Oh dear, that sounds really rough. Okay, carrying on anyway. So yeah, here's the Class 86 from Transport Fever 1. As you can see, it's definitely in the old style. What we are going to do is, the way how I'm going to do this is we're going to make a copy of this. So just copy that, paste it. Right, and this is going to be the one that we are going to edit for Transport Fever 2. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab, like I said, this is the default, this is the stock NoHab. It's a diesel loco, but that doesn't really matter. What we're going to do is we're going to copy all of the code in here. The whole lot. So copy that and overwrite everything in here with it. Now this is the copy that we made for the Class 86. So what this basically does is we now have a working layout of code, and then we're going to just modify this to suit our Class 86. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our old Class 86. I'm going to grab the bounding box information that we set up for the Class 86, and we're just going to paste that right up here. And we're going to do the same for BD min. And that is our bounding box setup. Now, like I said, if we were importing this model as an FBX and if it was all to the proper scale, which I haven't really quite got a handle on quite yet, but if I do ever manage to find out how to import directly from an FBX, then the bounding box information will be set up for us by Model Viewer. That's one of the things that it can do. But like I said, at the moment I haven't really got importing sorted out yet. It doesn't do the correct scales, or it sort of mucks around with things. I need to tweak my own 3D Studio Max settings to try and find where the ideal matchup is, but I haven't got around to doing that yet. Alright, so the first thing we want to do here is put down our chassis. It doesn't really matter where in the LOD list this goes. I tend to like it to be right at the top, so I'm just going to quickly cut that and put it in up here. In fact, no, I'm not, because that is the opening tag for the child, so we won't actually put it there. Right. So if you're wondering what I was meaning by the opening tag for the child, something that Transport Fever 1 used to use a lot, and you can even see it down here, is that bogies and things are grouped. In fact, for some reason I've also grouped the body on this one. But yeah, the reason why we used to use groups back in Transport Fever 1 was to get some kind of hierarchy structure into the mod. That is now handled directly in the MDL file. As you can see, you've got your base node, and then the first child of the base node would be the body, the chassis, and then here you've got another child under that, which is then the bogie and then the wheels, so that they can be positioned and then rotate and spin as they need to when the vehicle's moving along. So yeah, you have your bogie right there, positioned at position center. Then you've got your wheels positioned here and here, and then all of these objects are then grouped together and positioned in this final transform down here, which is where the bogie sits. And as you can see, these numbers would be exactly the same for the second bogie up here, but then you've got a different number down here to position the bogie somewhere else on the model. So this is literally how groups worked, but it's now done directly in the MDL file, so you don't need to use groups anymore. So that's one of the big changes that we need to make for our Class 86. Now, according to this, I did indeed use groups for the body. So if we just go back up here, there's our groups, and yep, we did indeed group the body. Well, I did indeed group the body, as it turns out. What did I use? I had there's the cab, windows, midsection, undercarriage, and the interior. I grouped them all up together. That's interesting. But we don't need to do that anymore. Like I said, everything can be just listed in here as they are. So, first thing we're going to do then is we're going to take the let's take the midsection and use that as our chassis. We're just going to grab that. It's positioned at 0, so we don't need to do any fancy positioning up here. We will just literally copy that and paste it right there. The next thing we'll need to do is we'll need to go to that mesh itself. Go to mesh, vehicle, train, find the mesh. It was mid BR blue. There it is. We can open that up in text editor here. There's the material it's looking for. So we can copy that and then paste it up here. Simple as that. And now that that is there, what we don't need in the mesh anymore is we don't need this section at all. So yeah, the entire materials section in the dot mesh doesn't need to be there anymore. We can just delete that and save. In fact, what we could do, because what I've done here is we have cloned the midsection for each of the different colours. So we've got a mid for BR blue. There should be a mid for version trains right there, and there's another one midsection for our Freightliner green. That one actually doesn't have the nameplate on it. I've just remembered that the blue and the Virgin Trains version both had the nameplate. The green one didn't have a nameplate, so what we could do is if we just rename this to name go, and we can change that to just nameplate. And then what we could actually do is delete that altogether. So delete the Virgin Trains one altogether. We don't need the copy for Virgin Trains because, like I said, the only reason we copied the mesh and the mesh blob in the first place was to apply a different material in here. That's not a thing anymore. Like I said, that's not a thing anymore because the materials now get applied up here. So all we really need up here is the nameplate version of it, and then just apply the BR Blue material up there. So when we come to do the Virgin Trains version, we don't need to change this at all. We just need to literally change the material name, and that is how we do our livery variant. So we've now got the name and the no name. If we click on there again, we can just get rid of the material when we get around to doing that one. But yes, at the moment the midsection with the name doesn't even have the materials in there. They don't need to be there anymore. And we just need to basically do this with everything else that is required for it. So what I'm actually going to do at first is delete everything else down here that we don't need, because that's all the stuff from the default NoHab, and then you've got the second LOD as well listed down here. You don't need any of that either. I don't. So just get rid of in fact, get rid of it from here. From there. Get rid of it from here. Right. Let's delete all of this lot. Up to that. That's all we need to get rid of. So yeah, this just has our chassis and the default NoHab's bogey. So let's carry on by doing that again, pasting there, and that can be our group. That could be the cab, I guess, because again that doesn't need any kind of positioning. Also, sorry if I'm ignoring the chat. I'm trying to focus on what's going on and trying to cover everything, because there's a lot that we need to cover when we're porting a mod directly from Transport Fever 1 to Transport Fever 2. And I'm trying to make sure that I don't miss anything, and I'm trying to make sure that what I'm doing is quite clear to see and understood by everybody. So yeah, if there's anything that I miss, do call out in the chat. I'll try and catch it if I remember. 822 stream, how's it going? Right, let's carry on. So we just put the cab there. So if we go back to here, yeah, we actually don't need any of the variations on the cabs. So if we just delete those, in fact we
don't mean to alarm anybody, but I think we're being followed.
Chunk Hunter, welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. So yeah, we'll just get rid of that. So it's just Class 86 cab now. And when we go in here, we can delete that. In fact, before we delete that, let's copy that. Copy that and paste it up here. That's our cab material. We'll go back to the cab mesh. We can now just delete that altogether. That doesn't need to be there. And save that. That's our cab. Going to be better once you've got your voice back. Yeah, my voice was just giving up on me just now, but it seems to be coming back, so fingers crossed it stays with me for the duration of the stream. Let's copy this again. And this time we want the Windows. Oh no, there's a mistake I just noticed right there. material, mesh.mesh, we don't want that. Let's just correct that real quick. There we go. Right, and The windows, they have a generic material? They do, apparently. Okay. That. And then our materials mesh doesn't need that anymore. Right, so next up is, right, we've done the cab, we've done the mid, we've done the windows. Let's do the undercarriage. Oh, hang on a minute, I didn't want to copy that one first, did I? This bit, yeah. Back here, copy the undercarriage. And paste that in there. And if we have a look in here, that looks like that's just a generic texture as well. That uses the bogey texture. Okie dokie. It's been a while since I've done anything to my Class 86. I've forgotten how I set it all up. It seems to make some sense. Delete that bit we don't need. Alright, that's the undercarriage, and so finally we should have our interior. Wait, before you copy that, we need to do this again. And here. The interior was just a same one used for everything, so we'll just do that. There we go. And delete that. Not there anymore. There we go. Alright, so that's a pretty good start. Let's see, we've got our SE mid, cab, windows, undercarriage, interior. So let's set up our bogey. Let's back up to group, and we will open. Oops. Open the bogey and just remove everything from sight. Why not? Okay. So that's our bogey. Alright, so we want bogey.mesh in here. Go back to our meshes again. Bogey.mesh, we open that up. Copy that material and lay it in there. So checking the bogey group, the bogey was centered, so we don't need to do any positioning numbers for that, so that should be fine as it is. Then we want our wheels. There's only 2 axles on Class 86 bogey, so we will just paste that there and there, and remove the 3rd axle. Don't need that. And then we're going to open up our wheel.mesh. That's using the interior material, is it? Interesting. Okay. Bring that there and there. And delete that. Did we do that? Well, we did put the bogey up there, material, so we can remove that from bogey mesh as well. Now then, first axle was positioned there, so we'll just copy that and bring it there. The second axle was there. That is no, too many. There we go. And finally, we want to go back to the MDL. First bogey group was positioned there. So that, and put that down here. There we go. So that's one bogey, and then what we can do is we can copy this, paste it there. Oh no, paste it twice. There we go. Paste it there once, because this loco has 2 bogeys, not 3, and the second bogey was there. That. And alright, so that's all of the meshes placed. We're just going to say that's visible from 0 to, you know what, that'll do. 140 meters, that should be fine. And it's just a case of putting all the rest of the metadata. We'll put in the lights later on. One thing I have to say is that this method of placing things, Vec3, doesn't seem to work anymore. And this is very unfortunate because I loved this method of placing things, the Vec3 method, especially if you wanted whatever it was to be rotated slightly. Vec3 was fantastic at rotating meshes, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to work in Transport Fever 2. I've been trying to use this in several things, but the model editor is just having nothing to do with it. It doesn't like reading this at all. It might be something that I'm doing wrong, I don't know, but I can't seem to get Vec3 to work. So, yeah, for now, it looks like we just have to stick with TransF, which is something that I don't particularly like very much. But what can you do? So yeah, we'll place in the lights in a bit. First, let's just focus on getting it to a state where it can open in the model editor. Now, thinking about it, model editor can actually change all of these settings down here, so we don't really need to do anything down here. One thing I will do though is I will just very quickly copy our wheel mesh, because we need it down here in the axles. So we're just gonna put one there. In fact, that needs to be in quotation marks, like so. We're just gonna copy that again and paste it 2, 3, and 4, and we'll just delete that last one because that's all the axles we've got. And then this set down here is for the second LOD. We haven't got a second LOD at the moment, so we can just delete that. And that is our axle setup. And that's all we need to do on that. We can just change that to what the rest should be fine. Like I said, we can edit the rest of the metadata in model editor, so we don't particularly need to go over that right now, so let's just save that. So another thing that we need to do before we open up the in the model editor, I don't think it's going to like our materials at all, so we may have to make some changes to this lot down here. In fact, we don't need the green or the version train ones yet, we just need the blue one. So let's just delete those so that we can focus on ones that we need to change at the moment. So let's see if model editor is happy with it. I don't think it will be, I'm expecting it to crash, but let's see what happens if we open up our new copy. And as I expected, it has indeed crashed. So why has it crashed? It has crashed because of... oh, it's not finding a mesh. Okay, well that was a different That was a different problem to the one I was expecting. It didn't find the mesh on this occasion. Oh, it's still looking for BR blue, that's why. My bad. Alright, so... because I changed these, didn't I? That no longer has BR blue on the end of it, it's just cab. Alright, so let's try that one again. Transport 2, model editor.bat. Okay. I wonder if it will open this time. Nope, it didn't. And okay, it's unhappy with one of the normal map materials. Like I said, the old materials for Transport Fever 1 aren't always compatible with the new one, so we need to go through and modify some of our materials, unfortunately, before it will open up in the new model editor. So what I'm going to do is over here we're going to open up what am I going to open up? Well, we are using all of them, so let's just open the whole lot. There they are. Now then, the issue that it was taking was down here with the normal maps. Apparently there is a new there's a new tag that it's looking for called red-green for normals. And in fact all this lot has changed as well. What would be the best way of doing this? Well, the best way of doing this, as always, is going to a stock material and basically just using that. So actually, I'm going to borrow the material from the class 47 because that already works. So let's just go in here and open the external material that I've got for class 47. There's the new layout. As you can see, there are changes between the old layout and the new one. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the new layout. We're just going to straight up copy that and put it onto the mid right there. There we go. So we can close that, we don't need that anymore. Okay, where is it? So yeah, there's the new red-green tag that I was talking about for the normal maps. That needs to be there for all of the normal maps, otherwise, as we just saw, model editor will crash. So now that we have the new format there, let's just go back to our class 86 mod and we'll have a little nosy in the textures. There's all the textures that we got, so basically we just want to change the textures up here for the relevant ones over here. Let's just make a new folder. There's quite a lot in here. So let's this to class 86. BR blue. VT red. And it was FL green. There we go. Just grab all of this lot. TGAs? Was I using TGAs? I don't know. Right, we want red ones to stay where they are, blue ones. No, blue ones. Everything with the BR blue tag on it. I need that lot into blue. Grab the ones with the our green tags on them, stick those in there. And then everything with the PT red tags, stick them in there. That looks like all I need, really. These naming conventions. What am I doing? Right, we don't need that. Let's just get rid of that. And just change that to CDR. Find out rust. And AMGA. BR blue, that's all you need on there. N for normal. Right, there we go. Okay, so what we want up here now is class 86, BR blue, and then we want class 86. Really follow single naming convention. That wants to be mid. BR blue, mid, not mod. Really. Right, and then we can just copy that and paste it in there. Match our CDR for the mid. There it is. Yeah, that looks fine. Same down here. Our blue MGA. And basics mid. BR blue underscore N. Oops. I hit enter full. I don't know. Right, and that should be that one. Okay. Let's do interior. Well, the interior was a non-livery specific material, so it's actually down here. Oh, yeah, okay, whoops. Alright, back up to material. And that one again. We'll copy everything here and sling it into our interior as well. There we go. Boom. Back to our textures again. Right, so this time we do not want that folder. This time we want interior, no color. Why the interior has got TGAs on it and I haven't converted them to DES. I wonder why I've done that. Bit one. Why did I do that, I wonder? Oh, never mind. Right, let's just rename that. Interior, it doesn't have specific colour scheme going on there, so CDR MGA and N. Okay. Alright then, so let's just there as well. And there. Hang on a minute. The normal map is TGA apparently. So is the CDR. I don't know why they're TGAs. Right, save that. Copy everything again for our windows. Texture. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Oh, that's why I put it in a different order. Right, so like that in there, exactly the same, and we can just save that. There it is. And the bogies use a different texture. Bogies use a different texture set. So place that there. Oh, hang on a minute. No, that's a cab. That is the cab, not the bogie. Well, apparently, did the cab use the same? Yeah, the cab uses its own. Right, okay. Getting confused there somewhere. So the cab has its own texture set. So, I think the cab was up here. Yeah, it was. It is. Although the normal map is not up there. Because the normal map is shared, isn't it? It's down here. There it is. Right. Change that to cab. And there, cab. That's the colour and the CDR. The MGA is still up there, so cab. However, the N doesn't have that bit on it, so that's just cab, and then it's not in that folder. So that. Point to that. Okay. Yep. Alright, that's good, so save that. Hey Gingerbread, how's it going? Right, so, and finally, let's copy that again for the bogey. And I think all of the bogeys was just down here, weren't they? So, yep. That bit. Change that real quick to CDR and MGA. And then follow the naming conventions. Won't that make a nice change? Right. That doesn't need the folder anymore. That just wants to bogey. Do that and name that there for the CDR. CDR, yep. And down here for the MGA. Down here for the N. There you go, wasn't that quick. The advantages of using naming conventions. Alright, so that is all the materials updated to the new code. So theoretically, I had it open. So theoretically, when we open it up now in Model Editor, we should see something happen. Ta-da! There we go. Obviously we need to make a few changes. The driver is currently sat up on the roof. He doesn't want to be there. And our interior doesn't seem to be rendering properly either. fact, our windows don't seem to be running properly either. So yeah, we've got a few changes that we need to make to our materials, but there is our Class 86 more or less ported. It will work like this. We can actually open up the game and run it if we actually wanted our driver to be sat up on the roof. And if we didn't want our interior to be shown. But that is our Class 86. Well, I was about to say there's our Class 86 ported, but it's almost there. It's appearing in the model editor, and that is a pretty damn good start. And yeah, the bogies are where they should be, the wheels are where they should be, the driver isn't where he should be, but that doesn't really matter. We can move him in a moment. In fact, let's move him now. Right, that's the one that we're currently working on. There's the positioning for the driver. Not an ideal spot. That's the info. Copy that. And paste it there. Boom. Now if we hit the save button, driver should not go where we want him to. Really? Oh, that's why. Grouped him with 11. We want to group him with 1 because that is grouping him out there. If we were grouping him with 11, I think it was taking the position data off one of the bogies or something and placing him after that. So yeah, group 1 because that's where our chassis is. Hit the save button again, and that is more or less where he should be. Yeah, there we go. Gingerbread saying, I see you put more on the workshop. I did indeed put some more things on the workshop. My Class 47, Class 37 and the Mark 1 coaches are currently on the workshop. So they are ready to go when the game launches tomorrow evening. Tomorrow in the evening the game launches. Alright, so why have we got some strange things going? That I believe would be the rendering order that we've got our materials happening, isn't it? Unfortunately, the one thing that seems to be missing from the model editor materials editor at the moment is the order tag. It'd be handy to have that, but not right here. So what we need to do is go back to our materials. I closed them all, didn't I? Yes, I did. I closed all of them because I wasn't thinking. Go back to the mods folder. No, not that one. This folder, there we go. Back to this folder, back to our materials. Da, da, da. Open the bleeding lot. Fuzzy Muzzy is asking what time is the launch? Around 5 to 6 PM UK time? I think it's 5 PM UK time. I think. 5 or 6, around 5 or 6 should be the time that it launches tomorrow. I will have to check what the workshop says. But I think it's around 5 to 6 PM. It will definitely be live by 7 PM tomorrow, UK time. And then, of course, it depends on how fast your download speed is. Right, so what we want to do is change the order up here. Make that order 1. And we have an interior. Unfortunately, it is not rendering our glass properly. And I've no idea what's going on with the front windows there. There's our interior, and gosh, it's bright. Why is it so bright? I actually paint the interior white. Right, so what we need to do then is tweak the glass Windows material. There it is. Yeah, because it's currently... really want that. Maybe if we just change it to fizz transparent and tweak some of the settings we got down here. Oh, that's... that shouldn't be mid, should it? That should be cab. I think. String cab. I think that's what it should be. Right, okay, so now have windows sort of transparent through the front, not the sides. That's... what's going on? I hate materials. I really hate materials. Transport Fever is not great at setting up the transparency, because that is not showing the interior through the front windows, but it is through the side, which is strange. Very strange. Let's just change that to the one it should be. Have MGA. No, that's not what I'm after. What a horrible material. Hey, House Runner. Hey, how's it going? So, yeah. What I may do then... what's going on? Is that not doing it either? This is all so weird. Yeah, Transport Fever has never really handled transparency particularly well. Trying to set up transparency has always been a real pain in the backside. Seriously. It is such an annoyance that you wouldn't really believe it. But yeah, why isn't it showing the interior at the back? When it sort of is, like it was on at the front. Doesn't reopen it. What happens? It's horrible. That's what happens. Alright, I am going to cheat and I'm going to borrow a material that I set up quite nicely earlier. The Class 47's material. Let's go grab that. Models material. That's it. This one, I think. That one. I'm going to grab that. And we're going to go to our cab windows. What's this one, isn't it? Yep. That one we're going to go to our cab windows and we are going to place that in there. Go back over this and change it to should be. I'm also going to get the interior. That. And base that on. Right. Where am I going? Textures. And we will just quickly remind ourselves where these textures are. That's 86. 86 cab. Yard blue. Cab beyond. Yard. This cab beyond. Okay. That isn't in the yard blue folder. That should be. Save that. Results almost immediately. Not quite 100% though. I'm not seeing the actual glass. You can sort of... that reflecting off the glass right there. I think it might be actually. Okay, so we are getting some reflection off it, but it's not ideal. That was our interior texture, wasn't it? No, it's all in there. Go folder, interior. I'm pretty sure the windows shouldn't be that transparent. It's... I mean, I can just about see reflections coming off the mirror, off the windows on the side there. But they shouldn't be that transparent. There should be a little bit of tinting to them. But it is not showing up in the model editor. I may have to tweak the transparency and the MGA for our windows to get that to show a little bit. There was something. Full signals. Full signals might be a good thing there. Because my lenses are showing up as they should have done. So how about we borrow this for the windows? Let's try that instead. However, use these two. Put that there and that on there. Those are the correct files, aren't they? Get back to the 86. Yeah, cab's in there. Let's try that instead. Oh, that's looking a bit better. It is looking a little bit better. Still doing a blue Peter. Here's one I made earlier. Pretty much. Yeah, like I said, I don't really like mucking around with materials. It tends to take me ages to get something working properly, and when it does, I then just tend to, copy it and use it on everything else. What saying is the gloss set to full in the window. 5 to 7% opacity is what I normally use for glass in the Unreal Engine, with a middish grey colour. All gloss and there's no dirt, obviously. Normally the same for Transport Viva. I can't remember what settings I got in the actual textures. I might need to open up the textures in Paint Shop again, have a tweak with them. But that will do for the time being. I think that should do. Yeah. That's not looking too bad, really, is it? Right, let's add some lights. Now then, I was saying earlier on that the problem with lights, well, for one thing, if we bring this back again, close the materials, don't need to muck around with those anymore. If we look in the old model, I positioned lights using using Vec3. That doesn't particularly work anymore. We now have to convert these numbers and make transf use them instead. I really don't like transf. I really don't like it, but it's all that works, unfortunately. Now we can still use the old assets. They're still there, but downside to using this is that you need to have at least a copy of the material in your staging folder, or it won't open. And this is something that has been a real pain in the backside with setting up the lights on all of the other locos. If we have a look at the Class 47, for example, yeah, the lights on this are just referencing the stock lights, but in order for it to show up at all in the model editor, you need a copy of its material in the materials folder. For some reason, it can't reference a stock material anymore, which is a real pain in the backside, actually. It's surprising just how much of, how awkward that is. So if we just grab to that, for example, paste it in there. Back with the old here's one I made earlier thing. Model vehicle train. Let's open up our current class 47 for Transport 2, and we'll borrow. Yeah, we'll just borrow a light from there. Right, so that mesh and that asset, that material, are stock assets. We shouldn't have to go and copy these into our mod folder. We should be able to just, plonk that down there and use it straight off. However, yeah, let's just position that real quick. We want these numbers here. However, if we hit save on that, and then try to open this again, as you can see, the light doesn't show up at all. There is nothing there. Even if we add 3 more to that, it's not showing at all, because if we have a look over here, it is not finding the stock assets, which is a real pain. The thing that I found though is that if you save it with the lights in place and then launch into the game itself finds the stock assets. But in order for the model editor to be able to see it, we need to copy it into our staging folder, which is a real pain. So yeah, like I said, we need to go back to our train. We need to go into the material folder. Just copy that real quick and sling that into our materials vehicle asset in there. But like I said, this asset is literally just a copy of the stock vehicle lights asset. And I think now that that's there, now we need to copy the mesh as well, don't we? Yep, we need to copy the mesh as well, I think. So, if you look back in the class 47, mesh. Actually, no, I didn't have to copy the mesh in here, did I? Not in here either. So there's no texture. So all I had to copy in here was just the material, literally. Why is that not opening? Tell you what, shut down all of you up, restart it. It really does not like the fact that the mesh isn't there. Really have to copy the mesh over for the 47? I think I did. Oh, I haven't apparently. Okay, so why is that showing on the 47 but not on the 86? Rah! I get that same error message if I open class 47. Yes, I do, but it's rendering it anyway. Oh. Oh, there it is. There it is, it's pointing the wrong way. Why are you pointing the wrong way? Remove that negative, remove that negative. And boom. Okay, so you're pointing the right way now. And what happens if I go back in here and remove material? Model view crashes, that's what happens. Right, so does it actually open at all without the material being there? Yep, it does. Okay. Mystery and confusion. Plenty of mystery and confusion, but anyway, there's the light. So turns out we don't need the material to be copied into that folder anymore. Professionalism as always. I don't know why people watch this sometimes. Right, is that in the right position there? No, is it positioned in the old version 560? Is where it is. It doesn't really want to be that big though. So let's scale it down, try 0.8. 0.8. 0.8. Alright, that's possibly slightly too small now. A little bit too small. Try 0.9. Yeah, that'll do. That should do. Alright, so copy that again. And that one wants to be... I don't really have only 3 lights on this. Why not turn that light on as well? How did it used to look? Yeah, okay. There was only the one light on. Okay. Maybe it's a head code or something. Yeah, maybe that was just a head code. Okay. Yes. A red one, and it was under there. And no show. I think it's probably because that needs to be a negative, and so does that one. One red light. That's where it wants to be. Okay, so now that we've done that, what I want to do is do those three. And add three more, but this time they are going to be pointing the other way. So negative, 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 negative. Oh, 0. Well, that doesn't need to be negative then, does it? That one though wants to be plus, 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 negative. In theory, when we save that, we should now have not quite in the right places the lights for reversing. So they are not quite in the right places. We might want to move that back slightly. That one to be 0, doesn't it? Or not. Any bit more. Make that 4. Oh no, shining through. That'll do. Meanwhile, over on the back here, we want move that forward, or backwards even. Tad more. And same down here. Not that much. Yeah. Roughy. Alright. So we've got our lights now for navigating in both directions. Because Yep, you guys guessed it, I'm making it reversible. So what we do to make it reversible is we need to clone our driver right here. Forward false. Negative, negative, negative. So in theory, we should now have a driver spawn in the back seat. There he is. Right where he should be. And he is the backwards running driver. Reversible true. Right, now then, the forward and backward parts. So, if I remember rightly, let's just have a look at our numbers here. Right, so ID 14 and 15 are the two front headlights, and then 16 was the one, the red light at the back. So we want to put I want to put 14, 15, in there, and the back forward part, that is the tail lights, we want to put 16 in there, and the front backward part, sorry, let's start with the back backward parts. And those want to be 17 and 18. I think that's the right way around. And then that one, front backward parts, wants to be 19. And that should do the correct lights for backwards and forwards running. Should. Famous last words. Alright, so the last thing we really need to do is set up a few metadata bits and pieces. I think we can probably do that in here. So, availability, we want that for the class 86 to be from, that was 1965, year 20. Cost -1, that can just stay as it is. Emissions can stay as they are. That should be fine. Okay, so top speed. What was our top speed? Our top speed was set as 177 kilometers an hour. I just Google real quick. Right, so 177 kilometers an hour is 49.1667 meters per second, because we now operate in meters per second, which is a change from the last game, and our weight is 82 tons apparently. Engines 1 electric. Tractive effort is 267.0. with a power rating of 2685.0. Okay. Transport vehicle, rail, da, da, da. And if we save that, that should indeed overwrite all the details in here. Yep, excellent. So handy that model editor can now do that. There are a few more bits and pieces that I would like model editor to be able to do, but it doesn't quite. I mean, if it could convert the old materials to the new materials, that would be awesome. Unfortunately, it can't really do that. So if you try to open something with an old material on it, it doesn't like it. It just doesn't do it. Bit of a shame, but you know, can't have everything apparently. And that is our class 86. So what we can do now, just close that real quick. Get rid of that. What was I doing? Right, going to model train. We can now delete the old one because we don't need that anymore. That's there. Whoops, we crashed model viewer because we had it open here, but never mind. Right. Next, what we want to do is we will open green. When's that unlocked? 1995. $1995 is when this one unlocks, so copy all of this straight in here, and before we forget the date we will roll up to there, change that to 1995. Straight line green. Why is that? Now then, things we need to change on this will be FL green. That one wants to change to, was it no nameplate? Mid no plate. And that does not want the material there. Mid no plate. Alright. And we want FL green in there. Just copy that. If we need to do it anywhere else. I don't think we do actually. I think that was all the changes we needed to do. Yep, that's all we need to do in there, so we can save that. And then we'll come back up to here, open our version of trains red version. Copy all of this. Right, when did this one unlock? That was 1997. Paste that. And 1997. Like so. That one did have the name board on it. I'm going to go with VT Red. VT Red. And that is all we need to do to make our different livery variation. Right, now we go to material. In fact, while we're here, might as well delete the group because we don't use any groups anymore. Delete that folder. Go back into train, and we need to copy these. Yep, both of these two. Paste. First one will be FL green. FL green. Paste another copy of them. VT red. And VT red. Okay. It's Meagle saying, so what changes am I making? I'm not making any changes at all. This is a straight up port that we're doing from Transport Fever 1 to Transport Fever 2. This is literally a live stream to show modders who haven't got their hands on the game yet how to port their Transport Fever 1 mod straight into Transport Fever 2. Hopefully it's giving them quite a lot of... hopefully this shows them how to do it. So when the game goes live tomorrow, we should see everyone else's mods appearing on the workshop as quickly as possible. Also a pretty good introduction to the new model editor. It's a bit different to the model viewer that everyone will be used to for Transport Fever 1. So that's the idea of this whole stream. I'm going to put the whole lot onto YouTube later on, so any modders who have missed the stream can watch it at their own leisure. But hopefully this entire process is giving people a pretty good idea what they need to do to port their mod from Transport Fever 1 straight into Transport Fever 2. We are going to need to open these ones. And this time we want... let's just check our folders. Down here we have textures, models, vehicle, 6, FL green, VT red. Let's just change these to match the new naming convention that we're using, just to avoid any confusion. C, B, R. Rid of that. C, R. All that was needed in there. And apparently we are not changing things up there. All right. So, which one's this one? This one's VT red. So we want to do VT red in there. VT red only has changes up here. They're going to be using the same this lot as the BR blue one. Okay. Oh, this is for the this is for the mid. Save that. Red, VT red. And that's it. That's all the changes I needed to make to these two, I think. However, L green had different CDRs, didn't they? This is on the mid and the CDR, and then leave the rest of it alone. And in here we've got the cab and the CDR as well. Now in theory that was all I needed to do, so let's just have a quick check on this. Class 86, open VR Blue version. I'm getting, yeah, for some reason I don't have the normal map for the interior. That's missing for some strange reason. But that isn't a problem. This seems to be working. So let's open FL Green version. Yep, that's fine. And version trains red. That looks all good to me. There we go. And that is our Class 86, more or less ported and ready to go. Very Rare is saying, I'd love to get some obscure vehicles into the game, but worried I don't have the time. It does take a lot of time to make a mod from scratch. I think the main reason why this live stream hasn't been that long, I mean we've only been going for just shy of 2 hours, the main reason why this live stream hasn't been going that long is because I've already got all the assets for the Class 86 before I even started, so yeah, it was all there ready to go. I was literally just porting it over straight across. And Gav T is asking, how easy is it to port the 220? Well, I haven't started on the 220 yet. I'm leaving that till later, because the thing is the 220 is not just a locomotive, it's also a coach, sort of combined. And yeah, I was literally practicing on the locomotives and then practice on the Mark 1 coaches. So all of that combined into one to get the 220 to port across. And then there's a few materials and things. Porting the 220 is going to take a bit longer than just a single locomotive or a single coach. So it's not so much how easy is it going to be, it's more a case of how much time is it going to take. It's going to take a lot longer than it will to, say, port the Class 86. I'll give you that much. Right, so yeah, there was another thing I wanted to check before we go is we will see how well it ages. It should be just fine. We're using the same aging maps as Transport Fever 1's version, so yeah, that looks okay. Not too bad. And how well does it recolor? Recolor map seems to fit. That's all there and fine. Let's just double check that with the green version. The aging, yeah, that looks alright. Paint it. That again looks fine. And finally we'll check the version, trains version. The aging. That again looks fine. Paint. Did I not have a separate recolor map for the version trains version? Did I accidentally delete it somewhere? Apparently I didn't. Well, that's a bit of a surprise. Apparently I didn't do a CDR for the Virgin Trains livery on the original. Oh, never mind. That'll be something I'll have to add later on, I guess. Anyway, there we have it. And now, is it? Oh, wow. Okay, I just noticed that. It's using a different driver for the time periods because the blue version was unlocked in 65, I think. Yeah, the blue one's unlocked in 1965. But the Virgin Trains one is 1997, and it gets a new driver. That's pretty cool. Although the transparency seems a bit different on that, doesn't it? That window compared to that one. Yeah. Something weird going on with the transparencies there. It looks like I will have to tweak my textures a little bit just to get the window sorted out, but there is our logo. So one last thing for us to do before we test it in the game. It's already got the UI. Yeah, that looks already fine, isn't it? So one last thing that I want to do before we test it out in the game is we can happily close that bit down now. If we go into the models, model, vehicle, train, I'm going to copy the blue one, and what we are going to do is we're going to rename that to menu, and then what we shall do is we will open the menu version in Notepad, and all we're going to do with this is we're going to change the year from to 1 and year 2 to 1. Then what we're going to do is we are going to have root file name. This was vehicle train class 86 underscore menu MDL. I believe that's all we needed to do in there. And then what we're going to do real quick is we're going to copy that, open up our other three, and just paste that down there as well. So that one in there, that in there, and in there. There you go. So what that has done is we have literally set up a like a clone of the blue one, shall we say, which is going to be our the one that shows up in the main menu. So we're going to just get rid of that, off that. So yeah, just like with my class 37 and 47, this is what shows up in the depot menu, and then when you click on this one, you get the others showing up as a sub menu, and that's how you do it. It's under the group file name, and because the other three variants have class 86 menu, it shows up under this in the menu. So what we want to do real quick is if we just open up PaintShop Pro. And while that is opening, we'll just go to Textures, UI, Models, Small. vehicle train. And we are just going to quickly open these three. Boom, boom, boom. What we are going to do is we're going to open a new one that is 56 pixels by 300. Doesn't matter, we'll crop it in a moment. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a icon for the top menu. So let's just copy this and paste it. Just hang that in that corner there. And then we're going to do that one. New layer behind the blue one. And we'll position it about there, yes. And then we'll just grab that one as well, paste, bind, and put it in roughly the same position. About there, I think. Maybe over one more. That's roughly it right there, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. And what we can then do is just get a bit artsy with it and there we go. And what we want to do is just drop that to selection. There we go. Image. Yeah. Do is we merge visible. There we go. New mask from image. Also PC. There we go. Do Alpha channel 1. And then we can save as there's my user data. Local staging area 86 res textures models. Oh no, wait. UI model small vehicle train EGA class 86 menu TGA. Alright, so that has brought that there, and that is all we need to do. So if we open up Transport Fever 2, let's give it a test. So if we load a game, Class 86. And let's give it a test run. And see how it is. All that was the thing I set up for taking screenshots. Send him back to the depot. And what we're going to need to do is very quickly convert all of this to electric. Honk to you too. Very quickly electrify my test line. There we go. Oh, where am I going? Scrolling please, thank you. Look at all these trains I was testing earlier. It's not that lot. And we want to modify this one. In fact, why modify? Just sell that as well. New vehicle. So there we go. There's our menu that we did right at the end there. And if we click on that, we should find our 3 variants down there. So that works. Lovely jubbly. Let's grab a blue one. And then we can go to our coaches and we'll give it yeah, let's give it some blue ones. 2, 3, 4, 5, and brake coach at the back, and pulling it onto the line. It currently sounds like a diesel, but that's okay. I forgot to give it new audio. But that's not much of a problem. As you can see, it is working. So there's our Class 86 ported into Transport Fever 2. Not bad for 2 hours. Obviously it needs a little bit of adjustment here and there. In fact, I'll tell you what, if we just save this real quick. Go back to desktop, because what we could do very quickly is just correct the audio, make it sound proper, because yeah, the Class 86 in Transport Fever 1 did have its own audio effects. I threw some in. The sound set config is exactly the same in Transport Fever 2, so yeah, we don't need to make any changes to that whatsoever. All we need to do is go back into our models, reopen those quickly. Actually, no, wait, this is the Transport Fever 1 folder, wrong folder. How many times have I done that? So yeah, model, vehicle train, boom, boom, boom. And that one as well. And then all we need to do down here somewhere, where is it? There it is. We just go vehicle, train, So class 86 in there. Class 86 in there, and then it's audio effects vehicle. Class 86 horn. And that's all we need to do there. So just copy those two lines and put it in. I can never find it when I'm looking for it. There it is. Stick them in there. In there. Adding the green one. So save all that real quick and jump back in the game. And hopefully that should sound like an 86 now. But yeah, like I said, with the sound sets, they're exactly the same as Transport Fever 1, so you don't need to make any changes to that whatsoever. Just remember to include it in the MDL file. Like I totally forgot right there. And that is how you port your mods. And there we go, that actually sounds like a Class 86 now, doesn't it? And maybe even if we just sling a signal right there. There's the horn. Right, so there you have it. How to port a mod in 2¼ hours. As you can see, it's all there and it's all working, and I believe we still have our GUI icons and everything, and it looks like it is behaving with the lights as well. Because remember, we set it up earlier on so that it does reversing. It hasn't, well, it's, if we wait for it to come out of the tunnel again. If you have a look at the back of it, we haven't got our tail red light on because it is towing stuff. But if we quickly went to our other bit of test track over here, let's just very quickly bit of track. Let's say it's going this way. Electrify the rest of this. Now, in theory, if we open this up and we'll grab those as another quick test, let's just sling it on that line there. Now, because it's a loco on its own, it should have the red light on the back. It does indeed. And I do believe, because we've switched reversible on, if we send it back to the depot, it should just reverse. And it does. And all the lights are set up properly for that as well. Excellent. So there we go. One mod ported to Transport Fever 2 in 2¼ hours. Actually quite impressed with that. I thought it might take a little bit longer than 2 hours, but hey ho, it's done. Now I'm going to tweak the windows a little bit. I'm not entirely happy with how the windows have come out in this because they are much too see-through. I can't see any of the tints, so I'm going to adjust my alpha channels a little bit, tweak that just slightly just to make it look more like there are windows there. But that is the 86 in-game and working and pretty much ready to go. So yeah, keep an eye out on the workshop. That'll appear there before too long. And yeah, like I said, as soon as I finish this live stream, I'm going to upload the VOD onto YouTube. So if you guys missed the start, or if you want to go back over any of the details that we covered during the live stream, then you can. It's going to be on YouTube. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Favourite it, all that. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. And hopefully you found it all informative. Hopefully you all now know how the model viewer works. And I hope to see all of your mods in the game as soon as possible. And I really, really look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. So, yeah, thank you for watching. And I will see you all again soon. Cheerio. And, yeah, keep an eye out for tomorrow is launch day. Tomorrow is the 11th, launch day. And I will be streaming a lot tomorrow at some point. So, look forward to seeing you all there. So that's it for now. I will catch you all later. Cheerio.